Hello and welcome to Talk of the Townsends. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I'm Hannah Townsend.
This is the show about achieving personal enlightenment, finding fabulous wealth, but mainly just about chatting and talking about TV and hanging out and stuff.
Lots of TV.
Yeah. How you doing, Hannah?
I'm good. I'm really good. We have been playing the Tube game.
Yeah, the Tube game's been taking over. This is a little online game where it gives you a tube map and you have to type in the names of stations and it will fill them in for you.
Yeah.
And it's how many tube stations can you name from memory.
There's so many. It's the DLR that
The DLR and the Metropolitan line will screw you up.
screws me
Because
up.
I went into this pretty confident, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And I got like 40 or something.
Yeah.
And there's like hundreds.
There are so many. It's those, honestly. Stockwell was the one that broke our brain.
Yeah,
We were like, what is between? Because we're big fans of the old Vicky line, right?
Yeah.
We know the Victoria line very well. And we were like, what is between? Is it Brixton and...
Clapham, no, it's
No.
between Clapham North and Oval.
It's on the northern.
Or the Northern line,
But on
yeah.
the Victoria line, it's between Brixton and Vauxhall.
Right, yeah. The point,
This is good content.
great content there. But that one was annoying because it's like, well, we've been to that station a million times.
We know
What is
her.
that station?
Stockwell.
Because I could
Home
name...
of the Swan.
That's hard. I recommend that game, especially if you're not from London. Then it's a real challenge. But
You love a little guessing game.
I was obsessed with it because I recently have got really back into Sporcle, which is the game that bored school children play. Because it's like the only website that's not blocked in most schools.
It's endless quizzes, right? So if you're a Swiftie, you could have like, for example, you could have name every Taylor Swift song.
Yeah.
If you're a nerd, it could be name every country in the world.
Yeah. So, for example, I was playing the quiz, name every country in the world.
And yeah, on the map, right?
Yeah. I can't remember why I was doing this. Back in uni, I got really addicted to trying to do the game where you name every US state. Because you have to do it in a certain amount of time. And then it had one that was like, can you name every country in the world? And obviously I can't. But the more you play the
We
game...
can now.
Well, I don't know because I did it. I did do it. I finally, because it gives you 15 minutes. You have to type every country in the world. The typing is hard enough.
The time limit seems unnecessary.
It's a difficult, yeah. It's very hard to do that in 15 minutes. That's a lot of like random countries to type. But I did do it. I did it twice. And then I immediately tried to do it again like 3 days later and I immediately forgot it. So it's a hard skill to maintain.
But I came in and you were one country away from naming. How many countries in the world are there? 190?
197 or something.
You were one country away, right? And you were like, I think I've missed something. I can't find it. I was like, I'm here to help. So you passed your phone to me.
You, in all seriousness, looked at me and you were like, have you tried France?
No, I typed in France.
Yeah.
I was like, you watched me take your phone and I typed in France. And you were like, I think I've got France. But sometimes it's what's right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes the easiest ones. But then sometimes it's, Kiribati.
Was that one that was...
That is one that
For
I've
me,
come
it'd be
to
the
learn.
spelling.
Yeah.
Does it do the thing where you start typing and it autocorrects?
There's one in there's an African country called like Sao Tome. I don't even know how to pronounce it, like Sao Tome and Principe or whatever. And like half of the challenge was just remembering how to spell that. It's like SAO.
Could you put where that is on the map if I gave you a map now?
Roughly, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It's in Africa.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done
No,
that
yeah,
if you
it's
told
on,
me
like,
it was in
it's like-
Africa.
it's like West Coast. It's like on the Horn. I guess.
Fact check that.
Well, actually, is that the Horn? I don't know. Anyway, shout out Sporcle, official sponsor of Talk of the Townsends.
We wish. Are they making money on Sporcle?
I don't know how they make money. You know what they do love? Emailing me every day. They're like, we've got a new quiz, Ben. I'm like, I'm sure you do, Sporcle. They do a thing where they're
They're
like,
like, do you like F1? You're like, no.
no, they do this thing. I don't know if I've told you about this. They do this thing where they'll have like exclusive quizzes that are only available. So like on Halloween, there'll be like a Halloween quiz. You can only do that day. Oh no, there'll be badges. You can only get that day if you do the Halloween quiz that day. The problem is they seem to have new badges every single day. So they'll be like, hurry, Ben, it's President's Day. You've got to get this badge. And I'm like, I have a job, Sporcle.
But also,
George
George W.
George Bush.
Speaking of countries, I guess, on that note,
A good segue.
a good segue. We were in France recently.
Yeah, oui.
And the thing I love about you, I guess us, is that thing I love about us is that I know you so well now that I know you so deeply that when we were in France recently and we were out for a big dinner, right?
Well, can I just say before you get into it, I feel like
stop me.
Well, just truly getting to know someone is more about just learning the really weird aspects of their brain.
Yeah.
And the things that are completely unpredictable and that don't work.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not about like learning. Oh, they love long walks on the beach. It's like, no, they just cannot. Their brain doesn't function properly in these ways.
And here's the thing, you're so smart, like you can name 190 whatever countries, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to logic,
like basic logic,
sometimes I look at you and I think, oh, my sweet boy.
How are you so dumb?
What's gone on? So we're at this dinner in France. There's a big old table. They say we're going to get white and red for the table, okay? As in wine. Then we're going to get white and red wine for the table. Great. We each do have 2 wine glasses, which I guess for you was a red herring.
Threw me, yeah.
So
it's a red and white herring.
It's a red and white herring. Very good. So we each have 2 wine glasses. They come and they start with the red wine and they're pouring it and pouring it. I myself wanted the red wine, so I'm like, I want red wine. They come to you and you go, yeah. And I knew you wouldn't want red wine. And so, but I realized in that moment exactly what you thought was happening. And I was like, just so you know, it's like red or white wine.
I thought we were each getting red and white wine.
Yeah. And I knew.
Which I was like, I've never heard of that before.
But you were like, I guess.
Yeah. I was like, I've never heard of a meal where everyone has double wine.
I did try and say it under my breath because I was like, I don't want to embarrass you, but like, obviously we're not all having both red and white wine. It's not a tasting menu.
Yeah.
We're having, a steak and chips.
Such a weird headache to have both. But I genuinely thought that was just what was going down.
But the girl next to you was like, did you think we were all having red and white wine? And you were like, yeah, I just assumed. And I was like, no.
No.
And then I was like, it's red or white. And you were like, oh, I definitely want white then.
That's enough about me. What's new with you, Hannah?
So this week we helped my lovely father pick out glasses.
Oh yeah, the end of a saga.
Yeah, it's been a long running issue of getting the right glasses right. I get it.
He wears glasses every day. It's a big part of his face.
It's his identity, right?
Yeah.
The glasses. So we were in the lovely Jimmy Farley.
Yeah.
And he had been there. It became quite apparent as soon as we walked in and the woman who worked there was greeting him.
He knew her by name.
And I thought, oh goodness, this poor woman, right?
He's been in there so much.
And I can't imagine what it's like working in a glasses shop where the second people with their grubby hands pick something up and try it on their face. You have to that must be so annoying. Like, all respect, right? So my dad is trying on these glasses. He's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? He was going for some quite funky designs.
He was branching out.
Yeah. And I respect that. But he was trying on endless glasses. We had a dinner reservation to get to. We were like, no, also no. And you're trying to invent new ways to say no, right?
He was also like, he was trying glasses on. He's like, I tried these. She was like, I tried on these last week. Like, he'd already tried them all on.
And I hated them.
Yeah, the woman was like, yes, he tried that one on 3 months ago. Like, they've only got so many glasses in the shop.
So he's on his, 18th pair, and he puts these glasses on, and we're like, they're great.
Like, oh my God,
you look great. You should. These are my glasses,
and
we're like, it was
glasses.
his glasses he'd put back on. I think we'd done the whole shop, and he was like, no, these are my glasses. And I guess we were just so familiar with what he looked like in his glasses.
It looked perfect because it's just what we recognised from him. Yeah. He was so deflated. He was like, no, these are my current glasses.
We're like, stick with them. They're great.
Fabulous.
Aside from that, I have a bone to pick with Apple Music.
Yeah.
The algorithm just it's not learning, okay?
Apple, I love Apple, right? I'm an Apple fanboy. I made a little video actually released on my TikTok about, Siri, for example, doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's a weird thing with Apple where they're so perfect on some things, and then some things it's just like, Siri doesn't work. Apple Music, I like it, but it's a bit rogue.
It's so funny. I was watching that video the other day of Diary of the CEO where they were like, it's the most, AI CGI podcast where we have 800 different thumbnails being tested at any one time.
Do they do that?
I think so. That's what they said they do. And all the different voice clips, and we're seeing which one works best. And it's constantly reconfiguring the episode. And
which we do on this show as well.
Of course. And I was like, wow, that's so smart. And then Apple Music, it's like, the basic, I'm talking basic, right?
Yeah.
I like Taylor Swift. All I ever want to listen to is Taylor Swift. I put a Taylor Swift song on, and then it will always, the next play is usually Annie, Are You Okay? The Glee version. Okay. And I'm like,
Smooth Criminal.
it's just not my vibe. It's not what I want to be listening to, right? So I'm skip. Every time I'm skip. We're skip. We're skip. Every time I play a certain Taylor Swift song, the next one is Annie, Are You Okay? The Glee version. And I'm always skipping it. And it's always taking me back. And I'm like, how's it not learning that I don't want to listen to it?
You have said that you have now you now quite like the Smooth
I'll be
Criminal
honest, it does
Glee
kind of
cover.
slap.
I think Apple Music knows you better than yourself. I think they're like, if she just hears this enough.
It's kind of good.
Annie
And
is
also,
okay.
if you go... if you go on the actual YouTube and like watch the clip from the thing, it's
And I have.
it's kind of good.
But yeah, it's so wild that like the basic AI thing to do would be to be like, okay, you've listened to a Taylor Swift song, let's give you another Taylor Swift song.
Yeah.
The even more basic thing is to be like, you've listened to a pop song, let's just give you any other pop song.
Yeah, but that's what it does a lot. It's like, you like Taylor Swift, you must love Dua Lipa. And it's like, I've got no beef with Dua Lipa, but if I'm skipping her music and I'm not, you know, the chances are...
You squashed that beef with Dua Lipa. You two had a real thing going,
The
but you've
thing is,
ended that now.
If I like pop music, I've probably heard of one of the other biggest pop stars in the world, Dua
Yes.
Lipa, right? And if I'm not choosing to listen to her music, like, let's serve me something a bit more niche than Dua Lipa. I've probably heard her. I've probably listened to her. I'm probably actively choosing not to continue listening to her.
Yeah.
There's no beef there, but, you know, it's the same a bit like, because obviously I love clothes. I like colourful clothes, and I, you know, have been with people in the past where they'll see something and it will just be full of colour or this just print, and they'll be like, bit of you. And I'm like, do you hate me? Like, genuinely.
People
like,
do think
something like garish and horrible. I'm like, you must hate me or just not know me at all. Like, I get it, it's colourful, but it's like...
People will point to anything colourful and be like, Hannah will wear that.
Bit of her.
Hannah will wear these clown shoes because they're colourful.
I do love a clown shoe.
You do love a clown shoe,
fair.
to be fair.
You came to me earlier and you were like, I've thought of a game, and I was mid-working and I was like, in a minute.
Oh, yeah. I thought of a fun game. I don't have a name for it yet. So the way it works is, and I know you're going to have immediate, like, what about this? But I've thought through the options, right? This is a game for, like, billionaires. This is a game for, like, Saudi princes.
So something neither of us can play.
No, it's a game we can aspire to play one day. And here's how it works. You each write down an amount of money on a piece of paper, right?
Okay.
And it has to be an amount of money you have.
Right.
Okay? And then you all put it in the middle, and then whoever has the highest amount, the other two have to pay you that amount.
But we're all going high then.
No, because if you go 10 million and the other person goes 20 million, you've just lost 10 million. There's a risk in the game. If you're
Come on, let's do it at our level, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to write down how much
you're worth like 10, 15
How
million?
much am I willing to bet though, right? 50 quid.
Yeah, I'll put 100 quid.
So I have to pay you 100 quid.
Yes. So then the next round, you're like, you know.
There's multiple rounds.
But it becomes a bit of an arms race because you're like, well, I'll keep coming up with a higher and higher number, but the risk gets greater and greater. You're like, oh, I'll do 10 grand. But then it's like, can you afford to lose 10 grand? Obviously, if you're like a billionaire, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, the way you win is just by doing a ludicrously high number.
Not all ideas need to be made or voiced.
I think there's something to this game. I think this is the kind of game you could play in a private room in a secret
But we're all
casino.
just going to go super high though, because what's to stop me doing a billion each time?
Because you don't have a billion.
You don't know.
Yeah, but you have to prove before the game that you have the money.
Ooh, fun.
This is like.
But the wealthiest person always wins. It's not very stick it to the man.
Yeah, I guess if it was me, you, and Jeff Bezos, we
We're
would
just giving him
probably
money.
lose. We would probably. You all have to have maybe. Tell you what, you get 3 people. They all have to have roughly the same net worth. Because if you go all in on this game, you could lose everything you have in the world.
That's just like gambling.
Yeah, it is gambling. It's the ultimate gambling.
This is why we don't go to casinos.
I call it roulette. You do this thing that I really love, by which I mean
Thank you.
by which I mean dislike, where you'll put your AirPods in to fall asleep. You'll listen to like a podcast.
Yeah.
You'll fall asleep with the AirPods in. They will then fall out of your ears in the night. You'll then wake up, usually earlier than me, And then start,
always earlier than you.
yeah, because you have to be in crazy early. And then you'll start searching the bed for the AirPods. And I'll be like safe, like all asleep in my little cocoon. And I'll just hear like your little hands. And I'll just be like, no. And then you're getting more and more stressed because you have to leave the house. Like, for God's sake. And then at some point I'll hear like, Benny, you have to get up. And then I'll have to get out of bed. And like, sometimes I have to like shake my body in case the AirPod is like in my armpit or whatever. And we'll have to have a big dramatic search for the AirPod. And then you'll be like, oh, it's here.
It's always fun to start the day with a bit of risk.
It's always nice to start the day by searching for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, it always feels incredibly stressful. But I can't go to sleep without like a white noise. And for me, obviously I'm not going to name the podcast, but there's a podcast with a guy with a bit of a drony voice. And it just, honestly, it's like...
I'm interested to know what this is. Is it Talk of the Townsends?
and there's a guy, he's got a bit of a drony voice, and it like... I can't tell you how fast it sends me to sleep.
I would love to know what this podcast is.
I'll ask
you off air.
I'm not going to tell you after this.
Wow, okay.
And so I need them, but I appreciate it is annoying. Here's the thing. It's this. I understand it's annoying, and I won't stop. I get both those things. Otherwise, I won't sleep.
I'm always fascinated by how far they manage to venture from your head. They're not just like on the pillow when you wake up. They're gone. They're miles away.
I know.
They're under the bed.
They're by the shoe rack.
Yeah.
I think sometimes if I go to wee in the night, they come with me and fall.
Yeah, they were in the hallway.
I appreciate it's annoying.
One day the cat will just eat one of those AirPods, and then we'll come full circle.
Yeah.
We'll hear music. We'll hear that lovely Glee cover of
Honey, are you okay?
Will be coming from the cat's tummy. The cat's like... So we want to talk about this. This is almost verging on like a conspiracy theory, because I just don't believe you on this.
Netflix are going to make a show on this any second.
Like a 12-part documentary. We have a cat sitter. We have this nice woman who comes to watch our cat when we're on holiday.
Yeah.
We love our cat.
She's wonderful. But
she's great. She's a woman of very few words.
She is a woman of few words. But the other day, we were getting the doors open to a tube.
Angel tube station. Picture it.
You and I were on the tube. And like, I was like, because our cat sitter was the other side. Like, she was getting on the tube. She locked eyes, got on the tube. We got off. And then she just completely blanked us.
I don't think it was her.
It was the deepest cut I've ever had. Like, she sits in our house. She's with our daughter, and and then I was like, the whole rest of the time we were out, I was like, shall I text her? And you were like, no. And I was like, should I be like, were you just an angel? And you just said no.
Yeah, has she been a ghost this whole time? I think the thing is, it's like, it did look like her.
It was her.
I just refuse to believe that you could. That's such a crazy coincidence that you could run. You never run into someone in London like that.
Yeah, you did.
Such a big place. That she would be getting on our exact carriage at that moment. That's just so wild.
She wasn't with a cat.
Yeah. If her arms were filled with cats, I'd be like, well, it must be her.
It was her. But you wouldn't let me text her to say, hey, were you just at Angel Tube? I just don't like the idea that she blanked us. She knows our daughter.
We watched, like most people, I think we watched the Twin Flame documentary on Netflix about I guess you could call it a cult, sort of weird online thing called Twin Flames. Let's call it an alleged cult.
Yeah.
Not getting sued today. And it's this thing that kind of professes to help people find their twin flame, which is basically just a fancy way of saying soulmate, I guess. Yeah. And then it sucks these people in, and then you end up having to spend a lot of money on like courses, and there's this sort of charismatic leader who literally at one point just says, I've just realised I'm Jesus.
I know.
Usually it takes people who run groups a lot longer to reach the I'm Jesus conclusion. But he just kind of goes like, guys, I just realised today I'm Jesus.
Guys, good news.
It's a good documentary. It's
really
very sad, but it's
incredibly sad.
It's a very well-made documentary.
The wildest part for me is that he made a menu and that they all gained loads of weight.
Yeah. So
that just kind of blew my mind.
Basically, he wasn't making enough money off just like the regular.
I think the sessions were like $200 a time for like literally a Zoom call with 18 other people.
Yeah, where you're learning about finding your twin flame. And then obviously they were like, wow, we can make a lot of money. So then he like branched out. And one of the things was he invented this meal program. Again, you had to spend like $200 a month. All his meals were like these giant sandwiches. You can find it on Instagram. They're like these horrible looking meals. And this woman was like, I was a follower of his, so I started eating the meals, and I just gained so much weight.
And he was like, you have to finish every meal.
She's like, I didn't want to eat the sandwiches, but I feel bad laughing, but it was...
bad.
Bizarre. But I said to you earlier today, what would it take you
To be drawn in.
What would it take for you to be suckered into like
A cult.
a cult or a cult-like group?
Well, as a Capricorn, it'd be money, I think. It would be money. It would be some
Not true love.
Nah.
Cash.
It would be some sort of cold, hard cash.
Yeah.
We watched 21 the other day when they were like counting cards in Vegas.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, I see that as a life I would have enjoyed.
Mm.
Yeah, I think something like that could possibly...
Like get rich quick.
A get rich quick scheme. I'm quite easily scammed. I think when people...
Bless you.
Often, you know, I've been on calls where I'm giving away details and I've had at work people go...
What was the thing where you gave all the details, where you thought you were getting a Marks and Spencer's voucher?
On a very well-known... It wasn't Marks and Spencer's, but it was a very well-known retailer. And I went on the website and it was part of... I looked and it was www.theretailersname.com. And there was this little wheel of fortune and I spun it and it said... You have won. It was like you've won a £500 voucher, and I was like, "That! Oh my goodness, how amazing!" So I gave all my details, and then I will
like so many details.
I will say because it was
not
like,
bank details, but like everything else.
It was like, do you own a house? Do you rent a house? It was like, are you married? There were so many questions, and I was like, how bizarre for a £500 voucher. But I kept checking back, and it was the website for this retailer.
Yeah.
So I was like, it must be through them. I've won a £500 voucher. I'm one of the lucky ones. And we went for drinks after, and it was almost like the realization set in where I like mentioned that I was like, yeah, like I gave my details to this thing earlier and now I'm a bit worried because I started getting like weird calls and weird emails because I'd given so much information. And I was like, started to like panic a bit. And then you were like, but you didn't give this. And I was like, no, yeah, I did. I did say that.
The second you said it, everyone around the table was like, oh no.
No, I know. So I'm easily scammed. So honestly, I'm twin flames possibly could have had me.
I think you're more primed to get suckered into like a pyramid scheme then, or like a Herbalife or an MLM or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what would get me.
Lego.
Yeah, some kind of free Lego thing. You have to live on this compound, but we'll give you Lego every day. Oh, pretty good. Not too bad. Who's your twin flame? The cat.
The cat. The cat. The other day you said to me you were going away and you were like, oh, what are you going to miss most about me when I'm gone? And I was like, I'm going to miss when Suki takes your seat at dinner time. You were like...
Great, brilliant, thanks. This is like on your hen do, when they did the Mr. and Mrs. game, you know, when they ask you both questions and then they reveal... I did the questions in secret and they were like, if you could take one thing to a desert island, what would it be? And I said you, and you said the cat.
No, I said an outfit.
Did you say an outfit?
I said I would take a fashionable outfit. Hey, it was really stressful. There's loads of people and they're all like, you have 2 seconds to answer. And I'm like really stressed. I don't know what to say. So I was like, I'd take a cute outfit for a desert island. And everyone's like, you be by yourself. Why would you need a cute outfit? And I was like, I don't know. It's all dumb. And then they played yours. So I think I answered first. And I was like, I'd take a cute outfit, and that's what I think Benedict's going to say. And then it played, and you were like, I think she'd take me. And everyone was like, neither of you would take the cat. And I was like, look, it is what it is.
To be fair, I had like loads of time to think up like the cutest possible answer that would get me the least trouble.
Do you have a TikTok of the week?
We saw this TikTok of this guy. I mean, you have to see it, but it's a guy.
Let's stop there.
Was he trying to do like a gender reveal? What's the point?
I think maybe it's her birthday.
Yeah.
Let's go with it's her birthday.
Like a mum brings a little child into the room and this guy is trying to pop one of those confetti cannons and he's really trying and he cannot make it pop.
But
and he's really
he's
laughing.
trying for a while and then he just turns it.
He's really laughing because he cannot get it to work. So then he decides to turn it 180 and then he turns
Always
it
Ricky.
and it fires directly into his crotch. And so hard. And the mum and the baby are just like, cannot stop laughing. And he makes no noise and just falls to his knees. And I turned to Hannah and I was like, I cannot even describe to you how much pain he must be in.
The silence
The fact
is
that
loud.
he cannot even scream. And he does the thing where he then like rests his forehead on the ground. And everyone was like, it's like he's praying.
You do that sometimes when you hit your leg on the bed. And I know when it's bad is not when you're like, oh God, no. It's when it's the silence.
Our bed has got like this outer bit that kind of extends beyond the duvet.
Yeah.
Like it's not flush with the duvet. And so
Don't blame the bed.
Well, it's just, but it's just prime.
It's not the bed's fault.
It's prime to hit your ankle against because you think you know where the edge of the bed is because you can see the.
And yet I never hit my leg.
Well, it's got this sharp corner, and I constantly hit my shin against it. And when I do, it is just like I go completely silent, and I just drop on the bed, my head on the bed, and you're just like.
It's bad.
And I'm just like.
On that note.
Brings us to the end of another episode of Talk of the Townsends. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check us out at Talk of the Townsends on TikTok, YouTube, other places as well. Support the show. And
over and out.
Hannah, do you want to say our famous catchphrase?
Over and out.
There it is.